Welcome, everyone, to the third to last episode of Memories of Ice, Podcast of the Fallen. I'll make sure to actually say our names this time. I'm Nate, the Malazan vet, and I am joined by Matt.
Hello, I'm the Malazan noob first timer.
I don't know if you're a noob. We're almost done with the third book, so
I still feel like I barely know anything. But if I were to talk to myself 6 months ago, I probably would know a lot more. So
you do know a lot more. Speaking of, it's been like 7 months since we recorded or almost 7 months since we recorded our first episode.
kind of crazy. I didn't feels like it's been a very quick 7 months.
It has, but also very slow.
Yeah. I mean January kind of flew by, I think. That's probably
Yeah,
because I've been super busy. But
yeah,
I don't
and
know.
me not as much. Well, I guess January was busy. I moved in somewhere new.
Yeah, you moved. I mean, you're going to like jazz games and you work 40 hours a week, so it's like it's not like you're not doing anything.
True.
Red Dead's keeping you occupied as well.
Yes, I am playing Red Dead Redemption 2 for the first time. I've been going for like 3 weeks now, playing almost every day, and I'm in the final chapter.
Hey, let's go.
I was looking at my because if you go into the weapon menu, you can see how many people you've killed with each weapon. I've
Oh,
killed a lot of people.
I remember looking at stats for I think it was Destiny 1 when I was in middle school, playing it a ton.
Hmm.
I remember the same thing. I had one gun type specifically. I remember seeing the stats and I was like, that's a lot of people I've killed with that.
Yeah. Okay, I just Googled it really quickly. A peaceful run of Red Dead Redemption 2 will still have you kill over 1,000 people.
1,000?
Just people that you have to fight in missions and stuff.
That's a lot still though. Dang.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's a long campaign, but like that's a lot.
I mean, I love Arthur Morgan, but you could argue that he is a psychopath.
Probably, yeah. I mean, the
Anyway,
Wild West was an entirely different world though, so
well, it's not really the Wild West. It's in like 1899
close enough in some regards, but
still.
I mean, I'm no like historian. I've always like loved the romanticized history of it all, but like I have no clue like any real time periods or any of the real history besides like a name or here or there.
The top five deadliest gunslingers of the Wild West. Number one, John Wesley Hardin. He is said to have killed over 40 men. That's the number one. And I've probably killed like 700 or 800 people at this point.
Jeez. It's a little different than real life then.
Just a bit. But yeah, let's jump in.
Let's get it.
Chapter 21. Perron observes as the bridge burners leave Capistan, the last out as usual. Silver Fox rides up and asks if he knows where her mother is. Cole and Murillo have taken her away. Perron accuses her of abandoning the Mive, and she says that he knows nothing and that she no longer recognizes him. He realizes that what they had meant more to him than it did to her. Itkovian watches the barges float down the river as he walks the shoreline. He comes upon the Malazan artist Orma Logan and his critic Gumble, who is a talking toad. The Emperor assigned artists to every army. Orma Logan sees Itkovian incredibly clearly, knowing that he is not yet done. Itkovian asks why he is still painting if the army is outlawed, which leads to the painter and the toad exchanging insults. Itkovian forgets to look at the artist's canvas. Whiskeyjack rides up to him and asks if he's seen Silver Fox. The Bonecaster and her Marines rode east a while ago. The Marines return and report that Silver Fox rode into one of the hills on the coast and vanished. Whiskeyjack dismounts and offers his gauntleted hand to Itkovian in peace, explaining that it's a rare and respectful gesture. They clasp arms and Whiskeyjack rides away, and Itkovian feels that they will not meet again. Quickben and Kruppe stand on the shore. Quick is annoyed by Kruppe and Telemandus whining on his shoulder. He explains out loud why he unveiled his warrants to assist in crossing the river, and Kruppe makes an allusion to his shoulder. The Marines ride up, and Quick jokes that he may drop them in the river because they stink. They say their armor and clothes would fall apart, and Kruppe says that would be a sight never forgotten. Cole and Murillo attempt to find a temple to take in the Mibe. Corbel Broach knocks Murillo unconscious and tries to attack Cole with sorcery, but is stopped by the Knight of Death, who commands the necromancer to leave the city. The knight is already dead. He carries broadswords, one of them bent, and his only memory is fire and protecting a girl. Cole thinks he is Malazan. Itkovian watches the Rivi disembark from their barge and talks with Gruntle about the Doman. He believes none of the cities they're marching to can sustain armies because of the cannibalism, and that everything will happen at Coral. Stony makes them compliment her clothes. Picker remarks to Blen that none of them are what they were, and they're all losers. Tatoran was a master sergeant, Mallet led a healer cadre, and Spindle used to lead a company of sappers until they all blew up, which ended squads made up of sappers. Perron rides up and informs Picker that she's now a lieutenant. He only has one order for her: keep the bridge burners together. She and Blend go to bed, leaving the stars to light the empty camp, timeless, with its own kind of peace. Whiskeyjack and Dujek talk about Perron and Quickpen's secret mission. It's revealed that Lysine inverted the command structures so the right people would be on the ground when House Shadow made its move. Quickpen sent Kalam after the Empress so he'd be convinced not to kill her in person. Taishran was grooming Tattersail to be master of the deck, and when she died, the role went to the person spiritually closest to her at the time. What happened on the plane with her and Belodan is one of the worst mistakes in Malazan history. At Pale, Taishran ordered the bridge burners to the tunnels because he thought it would be safe. Taishran killed Nightchill after she killed Acheronis, who suspected she was making a play for Dragnapur. Dujek thinks these foul-ups started with a slaughter at Aaron, where Kellenred ordered the IMAS to attack as revenge against Lysine. Whiskeyjack says Quickben has faith in Perron, and he admires the captain for his ability to examine himself and his humanity. Dujek says that Tatron wants to apologize but hasn't found the right moment. Outside the tent, Whiskeyjack finds Corlat, who asks for their conversation to be short. She has been shaken by seeing the sorrow in the Talon A. The secrets they have are getting harder to ignore, and Whiskeyjack apologizes in a veiled way and regrets it later. Quickben finishes speaking to the Trigel Trade Guild, Perron remarking that the sappers will howl. Quick says Fiddler needs the help, and he's done what he can for the army on 7 cities. Kruppe offers a glass ball from Baruch, which, when smashed, resolves into the form of a Bokeral. The Destrian of the Grey Swords asks Perron for an answer so they can take his pain away. Perron gives him to the mercenaries with his blessing, which causes the Destriant to stumble. There we are.
Not gonna lie, this is I think the one time when I was reading through this all, I was like, there really wasn't much that happened.
We get some answers.
I like we do, but like
Explanation.
there's some good portions where I was like, all right, that happened. But no, there's some, but it wasn't until like Whiskey Jack Dujack's conversation I was like, no, that's what I feel is the highlight, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. The epigraph for the entire book is the motto of the Bridge Burners: first in, last out. Great
It's a good one.
motto,
Yeah.
which they embody here. They were the first into Capistan and they're the last ones out.
Bridge burners are pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty cool. So first up, we have this conversation between Perron and Silver Fox, where he's very blunt with her and like, okay, you have a plan, share it with us so that we don't keep thinking that you're abandoning your mother. Like, do something, tell us something.
Does she though? No.
She says she does.
I Silver Fox, I'm not really liking right now.
That's fair.
I think it's interesting how much like the connection between Piran and her have like kind of been divided, like it's left.
Yeah.
Like she's very much her own person now. It's been interesting to see kind of that transition through the story.
Yeah, well, and then Perron also has realized that what they had meant a lot more to him than it did to Tattersail. 'Cause Tattersail
Oh,
was
100%.
200 plus years old. Who knows how many one night stands she's had with dudes. And I think
You
their
know,
connection
and I
was their connection was genuine and could have become something if she didn't
mhm,
die. But yeah,
yeah,
he's like, "Oh, yeah, I was young and I'm still young and dumb and haven't experienced a lot, so that meant way more than it should have."
yeah. No, it's I mean, and I think just the whole everyone kind of I feel like hyping it up or like the
Yes.
rumors spreading around like definitely amplified that. And then Piran kind of bought into it.
Yeah, Whiskey Jack being like, "Oh no, Tattersail and Perron were lovers." Oh no, there's gonna be trouble there. Oh no, Piran, you need to talk to her. You need to bring out Tattersail because you're connected, right? You're so connected after that one night.
Yeah, they are. They are very connected. I think it's interesting though how much she cares about her mother.
Yeah,
Like, and seems concerned,
after not
which,
showing much concern.
yeah, like I feel like there's some interesting explanations there of like I kind of did what I had to do or something. And then, but like the way she did it, like everyone else looked at it and was like, "You're abandoning her." Like you're not. Like, I don't know if you get this, but like you just not being there at all is just flat out abandoning her. Like you may think
Yep,
you're saving her, but you're not.
yep. That's all I have about that.
Yeah.
Okay, then we've got Itkovian. What did you think of the artist Orma Logan and his Toad critic?
It's such a bizarre interaction. I thought, and first off, like I read through it twice because I felt like I kept reading grumble or gumble as gruntle for some reason.
Oh,
And so like my brain is like, why is Gruntle here? He's not here. I'm like, why is there another Gruntle? Like, what's going on? So I had to reread it with like, oh, Gumble, the
yep.
toad. But
Yes. Once again, great names. Orma Logan and Gumble.
you know, I was like, what? And of course it's a talking toad.
Why not? No explanation of where it came from, why it can
No,
talk. It's just there.
like there we haven't really seen any creatures that really speak, I feel like so far in just the regular world. And this is the first time we see like a like fully like intelligent, sentient creature that's non-human, and it's a toad.
Yep. And it's an art critic
And it's an art critic to a senile old man who's kind of losing it.
from chewing his paint,
Yep.
but who
Like,
still sees Itkovian way clearer than Itkovian probably wanted.
yeah. No, I just thought I'm like that was it gave me what's the book called? Oh, Terry Pratchett. So I read one of his Discworld books. It gave me some of that vibe because I read
I
Color
th
of Magic a while ago,
I
and
think
it kind of
Erickson has
reminded
read
me of
some
that.
Discworld.
I'm sure. Because when I was reading this, I'm like, this feels Discworldy. Like I've only read one book, and it was the first one, and I enjoyed it. But I was like, this is a this is out there.
Yep. Gumble is also the kind of critic that I hate. It's like the masses don't know what they want, so I'm here to tell them what they should enjoy.
Feels like the self-entitledness of that. He was painting the crossing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Ikovian's like, I thought they were outlawed. Why are you still painting? Well, I gotta record the outline. I gotta show what it
Exactly.
looks like. Do you want me to be a common artist and pale? No, they all hated me and I hated them.
He's like, I would have never been able to live there.
Just a real quick interaction and then Ikovian keeps moving on.
I think it's interesting though that there's a artist for the
Yeah, with each
army
army.
art. Yeah. Thought that was kind of cool.
Interesting insight into the Emperor.
One of these days we'll get to know a little more about him.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of those like photographers that went with the army in the wars and
Yeah.
people that still do.
Yeah. Wartime photographers.
Mm-hmm. Covian and Whiskeyjack have a conversation.
Yeah, that was a interesting one.
Yeah, what did you think of their short interaction?
I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that Ikovian felt like he wasn't going to see him again.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was a one-time thing. But no, I'm glad it was. I think it was just cool to see they finally met. You could tell Whiskey Jack had a lot of respect for him. Like there's a
Mm-hmm.
mutual feeling of respect. There wasn't much I had thought of it per se, but I don't know if you had anything for it.
I really like the gesture of Whiskeyjack explaining that in the Empire among soldiers to offer your gauntleted hand to someone in peace is a rare gesture. That's just a cool little detail. And then explaining that that gesture is often misunderstood by people, just like the Marines being irreverent towards Itkovian. They're only that way towards people that they respect, but that makes people think that they don't respect them, so it causes a lot of issues.
Reminds me of like in a family, you just tease each other relentlessly sometimes. A
Yeah,
little bit.
sometimes that's respect, sometimes that's siblings legitimately hating each other.
Yeah. But I mean it's kind of like that like once you develop a good camaraderie, there's a little
Yeah.
more lightheartedness. So yeah. Which is which is pretty cool. That but like I don't think Akovian's been around that, so it's like kind of tough for him.
Yeah, he does say that he welcomes their irreverence. It's a welcome change.
Yeah, because the gray swords and his vows was super rigid
Hmm.
in a good way.
Let's see. Next scene, we've got Quick Ben and Krupp talking. Quick Ben has used a ton of his warrens to bring the army across, transport them across the river. And Talamandis is very concerned about him using that much uninfected power.
Yeah.
And Quick Ben's like, fine, I don't want to reveal you to Krupp, so I'll talk out loud and tell you why I did it. And Krupp's like, yeah, yeah, of course, that's why you did it.
I think it's interesting. Anything Quick Ben does is like I feel like it's very much planned. And like he has like this very much this high sense of confidence in what he does.
Yeah,
So I'm curious
Krupp
to
even
see. I was just saying, I'm just curious to see how that plays out and if that's like a downfall for him at some point or not. But
Yeah, Krupp even acknowledges it like, no, you have a high ego and it's deserved. It's not megalomania. I would know
yeah,
because I also have unassailable confidence.
that's not one of his mistresses, is it? Confidence.
No, but
He's not married to her.
no, I think he does say that he has a mistress later on.
He was the
So,
mistress of silence,
oh,
maybe.
something like that, yeah. Krupp says that Quickben has singular company, the two of them. And then Quickben says, what about the seagulls? And Krupp, pah, lest one should land on your left shoulder. Like, yeah, I know you've got something there.
The more we hear about Krupp, and especially in interactions like this, I'm like, who's Krupp? Like, what powers? Like, what is, like, who is he? I guess, and all this stuff, because just the way he carries himself in interactions like that, you know.
Yep.
So
Krupp is good at what he does.
exactly, it's a mistress of his.
Yep. And then Quickben's like, I might just drop you soldiers in the river. You stink. How long has it been since you had a bath? Well, if you drop us in the water, our clothes might fall apart. And Krupp's like, oh yeah, yeah, that'd be good.
So that'd be rather entertaining.
Yeah, yeah.
I have thought that reading this series sometimes, I'm like, I wonder how bad it smells out there, or like, just like
Oh,
certain environmental factors, like what does it feel like, things like that.
oh, I think about that anytime I watch a movie or read about anything before the invention of modern plumbing. I'm like, you guys all stink.
And then I think of like food as well. I'm like, because nowadays we have access to such an insane variety of stuff. Like back then, like what was it really like to have a pie or something, or like you hear Whiskeyjack and Jack, and he's like, I got this ale and this cheese. It's pretty good. I'm
Hmm.
like, and then I forget it's like that's probably a really nice luxury.
Yeah, and the fact that they have cheese on the march too. It's like where did they get that?
They're buying it through the trade guild.
Oh, that's
I
that's
bet.
actually completely fair. The trade guild has been going back and forth between Darujistan this entire time.
Yeah.
It's a Malazan FedEx.
Not home delivery though.
Nope, this is priority mail, and it still might not get to you depending on what attacks them.
True.
Let's see. The next scene, we've got Cole and Murillo getting attacked by Corbel Brooch and then saved by the Knight of Death.
This was a scene I thought was pretty cool. I just think it's funny how much Corporal Broach and Beauchelin just keep getting beat up by everyone. And we see a bit later on how frustrated one of them is.
Yeah, they're so cocky in every time, and then they just get
And
stopped.
I think it's crazy because I'm like, wait, this feels very much like a surprise to me, like this interaction. I wasn't expecting it. I mean, I was really curious to see what was going to happen with Cole and Murillo, but the Knight of Death showing up and then has broadswords attached to his hands. Like he can't get rid of
Hmm.
them.
If you remember earlier in the book, when Ikovian is in the throne room about to leave, he sees one of the Gidrath with a bent sword that's like
Um,
pacing around relentlessly. And Ikovian thinks it's kind of weird that a soldier that's devoted to Hood is following me, but eh. And then in
yeah,
this scene, the knight says, "Yeah, I don't sleep, so I just pace around."
because he's undead, right?
Hmm. Do you know who he is? Because you can figure out who he is.
I've been trying to piece it together, but it's like I'm drawing a total blank because it's the
Okay.
I recognize the armor and like the Gidrath armor, right?
Yes, he is not a Gidrath. Cole
But
thinks he's Malazan. His only memory is a
that's what
fire, and he was protecting a girl.
and that's what I was trying to remember, like what fire and girl was there. But was this?
He dies in a
Oh,
girl's arms. Yeah.
yeah, I remember now. Okay. Yes. It like just clicked because I was like, where was the fire and the girl? I was like, what part of this series? It's been so long.
Yeah. So you want to say it so that I don't.
I would need to I know who it
Oh, do you
is,
not remember his name?
and I've drawn a blank on his name.
Okay,
It's
it's Bowden.
it's Bowden, yes. I was like, it starts with a B. Okay, yeah.
Yep. Bowden is the Knight of High House Death.
That's wild. That's so cool though.
Hmm.
Yeah, I it made me think this right here. I went to the back in the glossary to look at all the houses of the House of Dragon so far, and I feel like they're slowly adding in people. Maybe I'm wrong,
Oh,
but like
you
every
just you
book,
just said the House of Dragon.
House of Dragon, what is it called? That's a different thing, I think.
Yeah,
Uh,
House of Dragon is the Game of Thrones prequel show.
oh, yeah, I don't know the Deck of
Um,
Dragons. That's what
yeah,
I'm
the
thinking
Deck of
of.
Dragons. There you go.
Yeah, but I feel like they're slowly adding in like the people for every one of them, right? Like, would I be
Yeah,
mistaken in
we'll get glimpses here and there of who people's roles are.
because there's like like we know of the houses and then it's slowly revealing like who's king, who's queen, stuff like that. But
Yeah. So
oh,
Bowden is occupying a role that was once held by Dasimul Tor.
yeah, it's
So
pretty
pretty
gnarly.
cool.
Oh, I'm
What
so happy
what were
that
you
like I
thinking when
realized that connection now.
what were you thinking when Hood is like or Hood's representative was like, "There's a place prepared for the Mibe. Come in."
I'm like, there is so many like layers to all these different plans that like everyone has, and I feel like everything's being slowly revealed. Like we see with Dujek and Whiskeyjack. And so me thinking back on this, I was like, there was Hood has a plan for her that's alternate to what Silver Fox wants. I
Oh,
feel like. Like I feel like Silver Fox had her plan and her wanting ways of wanting to do things. But Hood is like, no, I got something. I don't know whether it's gonna be like something better or something to benefit Hood, to benefit the Mibe. But I just thought it was interesting when I read that the Knight of Death shows up, stops the Necromancer, which I thought was kind of hilarious. He's like, but we want to do our research. It's like,
we
can we
haven't
keep
taken
them?
that many people from you.
He's like, haven't you got enough already recently? He's like, you come any closer and you're done with. But no,
And
I think it's interesting. I'm curious to see where it goes.
yeah, Raffo. Yeah, I do love that Bowden is like, "Okay, leave the city now, or Hood will come for your souls." And he has a very special place prepared for you.
Oh yeah. I feel like that could be like a whole weird, bizarre side spin-off thing of like he collects their souls, but they somehow break out like 100 years later
So they
or
break out
something.
of Hood's Warren.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything else on that, but
I don't either. We've got a small scene of Ikovian talking to Gruntle, and Stani is mad and complaining, like, "Let me get around you." And Gruntle's like, you can't get a like, we're on a plane. There's no way that you can't get around us."
she is so weird. And the way she described her clothes as well, I thought was so funny. She's like green for this and gold for this. I'm like, all right.
I'm poisonous.
I'm like, okay, remind me not to be around you then.
Yeah, the way it describes Gruntle and Stani as well. They were exchanging insults like a husband and wife who had known each other far too long.
Doesn't Ikovian mention something as well? And Grunt was like, yeah, we were really drunk. Her more than me.
Oh, I think that might be in the later section, but
Is
yeah,
that the later one? Yeah.
Ikovian's like, oh, sorry, I assumed that you two had like you two were together or something, and Gruntle's like, yeah, a few times when we were drunk. She was more drunk than I was, and then when we brought it up the next time, we started arguing about which of us was more embarrassed, so we don't talk about it anymore.
Uh, I think that whole relationship is just so funny.
Yep.
It's not destined to work out. She's with Cruel and he's more sort of whatever
Drake.
Drake. So
I mean,
yeah,
Kroll is supposedly the one that set things in motion for Drake to rise, so they might have a good relationship.
that's true.
Okay, and then we've got a super underrated scene, I think, that I always forget about, but I really like. Picker and Blend talking at the fire, and Picker being like, "Yeah, we're all losers. We've all been demoted." I love the detail that Spindle used to be in charge of a bunch of sappers, and then one of them blew up a cusser and blew up a whole ton of them. So now there's no more companies or squads that are just sappers.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious. I'm like, of course that's what happened.
Oh, we also get the detail that Hedge likes it rough.
Hedge is a weirdo. Anytime Hedge is brought up, I'm like, that guy, I'm surprised he's still alive.
Oh, and they make a whole ton of jokes too. Like he's probably getting beat up right now. If he, you think he would stop it if he didn't, he'd stop it if he didn't like it.
I know. And they're like, we have to drag him out once he's basically knocked out.
Ditoran used to make everyone stand at attention, and she's making Hedge stand at attention right now.
Yep.
And then they're like, and Ansi was born to be a crappy sergeant. He sucks.
Oh, he's awful.
He's a
I think it's so
punishment for
funny.
all of us. And Picker's like, we've all been demoted. None of us have been promoted. And then Perron rides up and is like, you're promoted.
She's like, no, that's not what I wanted.
I don't want it.
And then Blend's like, I've never been demoted. And she's like, because no one knows where you are ever. You
Yeah.
just pop up.
You don't want to be, so you disappear.
I like the order though Prawn gives her.
Yes.
I thought that was kind of cool. Cool little note.
Keep them together no matter what happens. Is this the first note that we get that Picker and Blend are a couple?
I feel like it is. Because like when I read that, I was like, oh, I don't remember it ever
Okay.
being mentioned, but
It might be the first then, but yeah. And then I was reading this earlier today, and the last paragraph of the section gave me chills. They're going to bed. They strode from the dying embers and were swallowed by darkness. Moments later, no movement was visible, the stars casting their faint silver light down on the camp of the bridge burners. The off-patched tents were colorless in the dull spectral glow, a scene that was ghostly and strangely timeless, revealing its own kind of peace.
yeah. No, I really like that scene as well.
What a mood setter. That is a video game cutscene or a movie scene, like walking into the tent and
Oh,
then hearing the night sounds for a little bit and then just fading into darkness.
fade. What like yeah, the fade to black or whatever. No, 100%. When I read that, I was like, that was a good detail. I'm like, I like that. That was just
Yeah.
kind of poetic. Because I feel like it's the very much the calm before the storm. Like that moment,
Yes.
I feel like sets it up to be like, and now is kind of like the beginning of the end.
Yep. I mean, we are in chapter 21 out of 25, so makes sense. Now we've got Whiskey Jack and Dujack's conversation. There is a lot of information here. What do you want to start with?
Oh, there's so much. I was like, this is Gibby one where I'm like, I don't know what happened.
I
But
listed a few of them in the summary.
so I like very much I could tell there's been a bigger plan all along.
Yes, very much.
Like very much more than just like I feel like it sets up the Malazan Empire in a bigger picture because I feel like they noticed something maybe beforehand. Like I feel like the main objective from the beginning was like to make an eternal like empire that challenges the gods. Is kind of my thought. Like it would like Shadow Throne, his what's his Kellenbed, that's his
Kellenbed,
actual
yeah.
name. My thought was he wanted to set up an empire that like where the humans were in charge and the humans had power. Like mortality beats immortality, and it's meant for an empire to last through the ages or something, is my thought. And then like through the whole thing we see like major errors that happened, like the Battle of Pale, stuff like that, which I thought was really interesting because I was like, dang, I already want to reread this all to see like to see if I can't just pick up anything because I'm like, this is kind of wild. I think the one question I did have is like, what does it mean by Lysine inverting the command structure? Is that like saying Whiskey Jack's now going to be a sergeant,
Yeah,
right?
demoting Whiskeyjack, promoting Dewjack. I listed all pretty much most or all of the points in the summary, I think, so we can start from the beginning. So yeah, Lysine demoted people to be on the ground level because she knew that Kellenved and Dancer didn't die and that they had ascended and were going to make a move at some point. So
Yeah.
that's why she did what she did. And Dudek does make the comment like, the Ascendants, we're humans. We're not supposed to think this far ahead. And they're not expecting this.
Mhm.
So that's why she did that. I love. Why did Quickman send Kalam to the Empress? Because he had to be convinced in person. Because Kalam would not have taken any of this at face value.
So then is my like from what's been revealed so far with the story, up till like just before this, is it still right though to think that Lysine is trying to keep the Empire out of Shadow Throne's hands?
Yes.
Like, are they like they're kind of enemies still? Like, there's still that
Yes.
animosity between them?
And then we learned that Taishan was grooming Tattlesail to be the master of the deck.
That was wild to me.
If you'll remember that scene in near the beginning of Gardens of the Moon, there's that scene on top of the parapet where Taishan kind of tests how well she's able to read the deck, and she does way better than he thought she could.
Yeah, because I remember her being like really good at it.
Yep.
Like that was the one detail I kind of explicitly remember of her.
And then when she died, magic, ethereal universe stuff. The role ended up going to the person that she was closest to at the time.
Da 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 da. Who would that be?
Captain Perron. Maybe they were connected.
In a loose, strange way.
Dujek says that they'll never know what happened with Tattersail and Bellerdan on the plane, but it's one of the worst mistakes in Malazan history. And Pale is right up there as well. Because Taishan thought the bridge burners would be safe in the tunnels, and they were not. It was just a mistake.
Which is kind of crazy. It still feels like it was very much intentional.
Yeah, Whiskey Jack thinks, like, I don't know. I still feel like she was gunning for me. Do you know anything more about that, Dujek? I hope not.
It sounds like an unfortunate accident, but I feel like Lysine still wants Whiskey Jack out of the picture.
That would make sense. And then Taishan thought he could take on Animander Rake and Moonspawn.
So dumb.
He only killed Nightchill after she killed Acheronis. Nightchill was trying to make a play for Dragnapur. And now that we know who Nightchill is, that makes a lot of sense.
I feel like there was a lot of plans set in place, but they didn't know that there's a lot of unknown variables that kind of messed up a lot of things there.
Yep. Let's see. We also learn about the slaughter at Erin. Jujek says that Kellenved, still on the throne, had the power to command the IMAS, and so he told them to slaughter people at Erin as revenge.
Revenge for getting kicked off, right?
Yeah, for Lysine.
So from what we know then, up till this point, is that somehow there's a power play from Lysine and her claw against the Emperor and Cotillion,
Yep.
and they fled to a dead house or to a Zath house, became ascendants. People thought they died. She rose to power, and now they're plotting their revenge against her. Okay.
Starting with Sari in It Kokon.
Yep. But Dassam Ultor, that's a whole different thing, right? Like that's not
That is
related.
that is a whole different thing.
Okay.
Well, maybe not because we also learned that they knew about the crippled god, that it was going to happen soon.
Okay. See that's what my kind of theory was once they had already known about the crippled god. I feel like that was part of the plans for a while.
Okay, this is the point that I wanted to make about Dassam. Whiskeyjack says he's thinking about retiring. Dujek says, well, let's not give Lucine the choice. Just retire. Just leave after this is done. And then Whiskeyjack says, shall I drown like Crust and Urko did? Shall I be seen to be slain, then have my body vanish like Dassam did?
So Dasm disappeared, right? Is
Dassam
what it's
disappeared.
implied.
And
Okay.
Whiskeyjack's like, if anyone knows where they are, it's gonna be Duiker. I'll track him down.
Mm, we'll see
I mean,
about that.
yeah. We saw what
So
happened to Duiker at the end of the last book.
so Dasim Ultor, so I understand this. He was the first sword of the Malazan Empire.
First Sword of the Malazan Empire and also the Knight of High House Death.
And was that an open known thing or because like it sounds like only few select people knew about that.
I think only a few select people did know.
Because it makes me wonder like was Hood like a very much a big part of the expansion of then the Empire because he had a mortal sword on the ground? Or like maybe they had some plans that aligned.
Refo.
Hmm.
Prawn and Quickburn are going off to do something. We don't know what. But Whiskey Jack's like,
Individually,
no, together. Yeah, but yeah, they're doing
but
something on their own.
without the bridge printers, right? Like Prom promoted them and said, "You guys go do your own
Yeah.
thing."
Yep.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
Whiskey Jack says that he admires Piran because he examines himself with ruthlessness and with the courage to acknowledge his own flaws, and he is very human.
Which I think is saying a lot coming from Whiskey Jack.
Yes. Whiskey Jack does not give out compliments lightly, I feel like.
Yeah. No, I think it's interesting though, like how much of like there's been plans from the beginning of the Empire,
Yep.
and now I feel like they've shifted, but I feel like the crippled god, the Malazan Empire has an idea of how to combat that and not just leave it to the ascendants and stuff like that. Like they want to control their own destiny, I think. And I think Cruel made a good point, and that's like why he said it. But
Yeah. Quick Ben also thinking leave the game to mortals. You're in for some surprises.
and it sounds like there's gonna be a lot of revealed surprises, not surprises, like secrets between Brood and the Malazans. Like this split up was very intentional, and they both kind of know that they're both going to do something.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm curious to see how that all plays out.
And then last note from this scene, Dujek says Taishan wants to apologize. He just hasn't found the right time. And we see Jack's like, well, he knows where to find me. So why hasn't he apologized?
Yeah. Didn't Tayshaun go back to the Lysine?
Yeah.
I think Whiskey Jack and Tayshaun will have a bit of a duel, maybe.
Taishan is a uber powerful high mage and Whiskey Jack's a soldier.
I feel like Whiskey Jack would somehow have some secret thing given to him by Quick Ben and just get pummeled up and be like, yeah, that's for killing my bridge burners.
Maybe. Raffo.
Be kind of cool.
And then we've got Whiskey Jack gets to his tent and finds Corlat for their last night together before they split up. And she's like, please keep the conversation short. We don't need the light on.
And an interesting conversation.
They do. She was rattled by looking into the Talon A, and Whiskey Jack's like, yeah, you saw what I see in you.
Yeah, because the Talane are older than her, right?
Yep.
It's kind of crazy. I think it's interesting what Whiskey Jack says though at the end and how he thinks he regrets it.
And then we get kind of a link to the timeline of Deadhouse Gates. Quick Ben sending some those munitions to Fiddler.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to see. I was like, I've like in the back of my mind, I keep thinking, where are they at in Dead House Gates? Like, what's going on?
Yep, they're near the end. And
But
Quick Ben has also done what he can for the army, which is that vial that is for Coltane but ends up going to Duiker. And then what did you think of the Destrian asking Prawn for a Naster and then Prawn saying, yeah, you can take him with my blessing, just casually.
I thought that was kind of funny.
He's like, damn it, Prawn. Damn it, be better. Be more careful.
Yeah, I think it's interesting like how powerful just like him saying something like that is. And it's very much I think it's very much his attributes with kind of what Whiskey Jack said. Like he kind of goes against the grain, does his own thing, but doesn't exactly know what he's doing and just figuring it out as he goes along. And that was just kind of like a minor moment for him to be like, "Oh yeah, I kind of have some power here."
Yep. He's just a dude like us in his early 20s figuring out life and responsibilities.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's easy to forget that Piran is like my age, like 24, 25, 26.
It kind of reminds me just like stories in general, like books I read. I'm like, forget how old some people are and are not.
That's all I've got for chapter 21.
Yeah, same. I can't think of anything else.
Chapter 22. Talk hears the seer and Septarch discuss his mangled body and strategy for the impending battle. The Panions will allow the enemy to camp on the flats before rising from hidden trenches. With help from the Winged Ones, sorcery, and a sortie from the main gate, the Malazans will be crushed. They are puzzled at why the forces are dividing, however. Scurvy has taken the Teniscari, but the seer says the soldiers will not get sick, as they've been blessed by Poliel. Talk begins to laugh as he realizes Dujak's army is coming. The seer says he doesn't fear them, partly because he knows the origins of Moonspawn. The Kachane Naruk built massive floating fortresses in the war against the Chamal, all of which were destroyed but one, which was found and appropriated by Animander Rake. The seer Doman offers to leave Talk out of the matron's reach with food, water, and blankets. Talk says he will be devoured, and the soldier replies that he already has been. Talk says he is sorry, and the seer Doman is shocked that he offers compassion in the midst of his horror. The Micro City is battered by an iceberg, driven off its course towards Coral and driven towards the west. Envy is peeved that she will have to walk again. Lannis Tog says that Tool spoke against the ritual but went along with it anyways, and it's a false notion that truth is proven by numbers. Envy says she cannot decide which is more depressing, talking with the Segula or staring into Garath's eyes. She explains to the IMAS what happened to Baeljag. She was the last A left alive on the continent, and her body was a convenient place to store the wolf god's soul. Corlat listens to Crone worry about Rake's whereabouts in the Malazans, but she is distracted. She'd forgotten what love does to someone, and it makes her think constantly about Whiskeyjack. She can scarcely believe that he's given his soul to her, or that he and Rake have become friends. Rake and Brood have formed a friendship after centuries of experiences, one that will never be broken. But Rake and Whiskeyjack only spent a few nights talking, and it was enough. Stani, Gruntle, and Itkovian ride together at a slow, steady pace across the plain, Stani and Gruntle exchanging barbs as usual. Stani rides off to see what outriders have reported, and Itkovian reflects on how Gruntle is his opposite in almost every way. Stani returns and tells them that Beauchelain and Corbelbroach's carriage is coming down the road, and Gruntle rides hard towards it. Emancipor Reese, who's broken a tooth, tells them that Buke has flown away, and Gruntle says it is well. Edkovian advises Beauchelain of his servant's injury, and Beauchelain reprimands Reese for continuing to eat fruit that he believes is poisonous. Gruntle says that the cure is sometimes worse than the disease. Cole watches Murillo pace Hood's temple as they wait for the night to finish preparations for the Maib. Cole thinks of children's rhymes and the poet who was stoned in the streets of Darudistan. He wonders if Simtal ever really had the child she told him about and asks Murillo. His friend says she believes she did have a child and sent it away somewhere for use later. He's also blunt with Cole and tells him that he's far from being safely sober and has no chance in hell of raising a child, but he could be its anonymous benefactor. Cole asks what he's done to deserve Marilia's friendship, and the man doesn't answer, saying that he doesn't want to depress Cole anymore. The knight announces the preparations are complete, and the two see a sarcophagus carved into the floor. The Maib walks ankle deep in dust. Her dream world has disintegrated, and there is nothing on the horizon in any direction. She sees something in the distance, and as she comes closer, she sees an arch of ribs with skin stretching between them that turns into legs and a web as she slides down towards it.
Hmm.
Once again, not a ton,
Yeah.
but we had to stop at this chapter for the next two chapters. So,
Yeah. No, these very much felt like the setup for the end, so it's
mhm.
kind of what I expected. But we did get some cool details at the beginning.
Yep. Talk listening to the Panion's strategy. Yeah, the seer's like, yeah, I don't fear Moonspawn. I know where it came from.
Yeah, that's kind of a crazy detail. I didn't know that. It's interesting to see in a series the depth of history and like how he mentions it's like the short tail creatures, and they used a form of magic and stuff like that that hasn't been seen since to make floating fortresses to like fight each other, which is just blows my mind.
Yep. These are the same short tales that Callow referred to earlier in the book when he was telling them the history.
Yeah,
Yeah, so Rake's floating mountain that's in chapter 2 of Gardens of the Moon is was actually built by short-tailed dinosaurs that were uber intelligent and had magic.
makes me like I'm like there's no like short history or like short stories on or like a trilogy on that could change them all, is there?
No,
So sad. But
no. If you think the IMAS and Jagut are ancient and it's been like 200 or 300,000 years since they were around, the Kachin Shamal and Naruk were thought like long extinct before those
even
two
them,
races were there. Yeah.
yeah, which is just wild to me. But it so there's the four founding races, right? And they're the ones thought to be extinct.
Yes, I'm gonna be honest, I don't look at the glossaries much anymore.
But is
Oh,
do we know of the other three? I feel like we've talked about this, but I don't remember.
I don't think the founding races appear in the glossaries anymore. Now it's just they're labeled with one of the four founding races. I think it said all four in Gardens of the Moon. It's the Kachin Shamal, the Jagut, the Imas, and the Forkrula Sail.
Or Cruliseo?
We have not encountered them yet.
I was gonna say they don't sound familiar.
But yep, those are the four.
Interesting. It's good to know.
Did you have any thoughts about Scurvy having taken over the Tenniscourie and the Seer being like, don't worry, the soldiers won't get sick. We've been blessed by Poliel, the goddess of pestilence, who we've learned earlier is taking a side with the crippled god.
I'm like that is deeply disturbing.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was caused by Lady Envy, remember? Because she sent those plagues among the Panion
Mhm.
a couple chapters ago because she was mad.
That's right. Used Poliel's own magic against her.
Yep.
Yeah, that's rather unfortunate.
And the only other thing I have about this section is the Seer Doman is kind of a bro.
This here Doman's the guy below this here. He's not the Jagu, right?
No, the Seer Doman, those are just the warrior priests, so he's one of those. He's just like he's a good one, and the Septarch says that he's his most trusted servant. The Septarch is like the commander.
Of
But
the Doman
yeah,
area.
yeah, but the Seer Doman is just like a lay common soldier. A little
Oh,
above
okay.
common soldier, I guess, but yeah.
That makes
He's
sense,
the
yeah.
same one that was standing with Talk as they looked over the harbor earlier.
Oh, because he's not the seer, right?
No, he's not the
Yeah.
seer.
Okay, that's why I was a little confused, but
No.
no, he's kind of a bro. Now that I understand a little more.
Yeah. It's real you've got the Panion Seer and then the Panion Doman and then you've got the Seer Doman.
So dumb. This is so
But
hard to keep track, but I mean like it all makes sense, but I'm like that's just so much to keep track of at once,
yeah,
but
it's a cool thing he does. Like, listen, I'll leave you out of her reach. I'll give you food and water.
yeah. Like don't worry. She's been crying for a while. We'll keep you away.
Talk is like the seer will have you devoured. Oh, I was devoured a long time ago.
He's like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, Talk's like sorry, and the seer doman is like, you're saying sorry to me? Like, dude, you don't have to say sorry to anyone right now.
He's like, look at you. Do you see how destroyed your body is?
He's like, no, I'm sorry for what I've done, what I've helped do to you.
Yeah. Is the seer, were they chatting with the seer at
Hmm.
this time? Okay.
Yeah, at the beginning is Talk hears the seer and the Septarch, one of the commanders, just talking about tactics.
And then Talk laughs, and then the seer's like, what are you laughing about, Talk the
Yeah,
Younger? He's like, the baddest Malazan army is about to come knocking on your door. And he's like, and?
I'm not scared.
He's like, I don't care. And he's like, oh, but you will. Don't. He's like, you better tremble in your baby seal leather boots.
That was a Megamind reference for those that did not get it.
You didn't. and you should watch it. It's a good one.
One of the best superhero movies. And I'm real mad that they're making a TV series as a sequel instead of a movie.
What's with all these? I won't get into it. I'm just tired of seeing IP sequels of like,
I mean, I've wanted a Megamind sequel for a long time, just not a show. Give me a
yeah.
movie.
No, I wouldn't have minded a movie, but like I feel like that's all we see lately is just remakes and I don't know,
Yep.
extensions
M
of series from 10 years
Moana
ago.
Moana 2 comes out later this year, apparently.
Oh my.
Frozen 3 and 4 are in the works. A Lion King prequel that talks about Mufasa,
See, a Lion King one I wouldn't mind,
but it's
but
it's the, it's the stupid live action CGI.
the live, yeah, no, that's the thing that drives me nuts is I'm like, guys, those 90s 2D animated musicals were like, they're like, I feel like kind of untouchable.
Hmm.
And to be doing stuff like that, like the way they're doing it is just, it feels dumb to me, but I digress.
We can talk about that again later because I'm sure we'll get mad about it again.
Oh yeah, no, we will. Kung Fu
Um,
Panda 4.
See that I'm actually down for. I'll take Kung Fu Panda because they
Like
have
I,
yet to do a bad one.
it's true, but I don't know. I seen the trailer, I was like, this feels like Toy Story 4. It doesn't feel the same as the
Speaking
trilogy.
of Toy Story 5 too.
They should have ended it at 3.
Yep, 3 was the perfect end.
Really was.
Anyways, back to Malazan.
Yeah, back to Malazan.
We've got Lady Envy, and Lannis Tog explains that Tool spoke out against the ritual of Talan, but went along with it anyways.
Yeah, kind of had to. I feel like.
Yep. And then Envy explains what happened to Baaljag.
Yeah, which makes sense now. Like it kind of like it felt kind of like obvious, but like it connected the dots just kind of nicely there. But I feel like this interaction felt so off to me. I don't know if it did to you or if you know what I mean, but it's just like because of Envy talking with Lannister, and I feel like Lannister doesn't want to talk or
Yeah. It feels like is an extrovert talking to an introvert.
yeah.
Um,
Like I feel like Lannister has this idea in mind, like this is all I gotta do, and Envy's just there, like I have no one else to talk to because I've bugged everyone else too much. So let me chat
mhm.
with you, tell you my life story.
Yeah. Cool detail about Baaljag. So we learned she was the last A left alive on the continent, and that she had been separated from her pack. If you'll remember in the prologue, Pran Chol and the other guy are talking and looking at like a frozen tableau of A and stuff frozen in mud, and there's the tracks of a singular A that ran off away.
Oh yeah,
So
that's kind of
I don't
cool.
think it's ever been confirmed, but it's my theory that that was Baaljag.
I could see that.
And it would make sense because they've been the two wolves. Well, Baaljag wasn't the god, wasn't the wolf goddess, but it's still like separation between the two. Baaljag was
Hmm.
on what became Genabakis, and Tog was on Jakaruku with Kalos Empire. So
Hmm. Gotcha.
if that has been confirmed, leave a comment and tell me that it has been, but I don't know that it has. But that's my theory.
So was the how'd the soul of the wolf god like how'd that happen then? Do we know?
Kroll.
Oh, Kroll did that. Like the god was dying, and so just put the soul in. Gotcha.
I think so.
Okay.
We might get some more on that as well. I can't remember exactly. But
You're telling me you don't remember a minor detail of a 10-book series with a bunch of side stories?
no. I mean, I remember a lot of the side stories because most of the time the side stories. I have I said this to you before that Malazan is theme first, story second, characters third, and so lots of the side stories, if you can
Oh,
identify what theme they're supporting in the book, then they become a lot more interesting.
gotcha. That makes sense. No, you've never mentioned that, but that's good to know. Cool.
Yeah, that's all I have about the envy scene.
Yeah.
Okay, then we've got Corlat thinking about her crush in an important meeting.
Oh, yeah. And I love the description
Yes.
of it all. I don't remember what page it's on, but I'll see if I can find it real quick.
716.
716. Yeah, there it is. She'd forgotten what love could do as it threaded its roots through her entire soul, as it tugged and pulled at her thoughts, obsession ripening like seductive fruit. She only felt its life thickening within her, claiming all she was. Fears
Yep,
for her
yep,
lord
yep.
and kin seemed almost inconsequential.
So she can barely believe that he's given his soul to her. And then she's like, an equally unbelievable is that Animator Rake calls him a friend. And in the thousands of
Yeah.
years I've known him, Rake has one friend, and it's Kaladin Brood, and it's because they've spent hundreds of years together.
And she's like, and these two have only had like a few brief conversations every once in a while. And I also love the description. She's like, the first time I saw him, he was like a lodestone to the eyes or
Mm-hmm.
something. I was like, wow, she is in love.
Yep.
Like, this is funny. Which I feel like it's details like this that add more to Whiskey Jack as a character. It's kind of cool to see.
What I learned from that is that Whiskeyjack is sexy.
What's the award? Who does the award like the sexiest man of the year?
Oh,
That
I don't know what
that
organization it is.
I feel like he would definitely win that if he
Oh, it's People
there'd
Magazine.
be People magazine. Yeah. Anyone want to vote for Whiskey Jack as People magazines?
Hey, the winner in 2023 was Patrick Dempsey, who is kind of what I imagine Whiskeyjack to look like. I
Yeah.
was trying to show Matt a picture on my screen,
It's
and it's
kind of
not.
whited out.
Oh, there you
Oh, there
go.
you go.
Kind of.
Oh yeah, that like I feel like if he had like a full beard, I could see that. That's so funny.
But in the meantime, there is an important meeting going on, and they're like, the Malazans are marching way quicker than we thought they would. And Calor's the devil on the shoulder. They're making a play. They're
You
doing
know.
something.
I think it's so funny how much Crone's like, where is everyone? What's going on? There's this, and this. And they're just like, shut up, calm down.
Where's Rake? They've disappeared. They're all dead, aren't they? Oh my God, they're all dead. Corla, are you and the remaining Tai standing enough? Because they're all dead.
They're gone. It's game over. We're done for. These birds, those vultures, they have magic. They're counteracting us.
They've driven us away. We can't scout ahead. Oh no, what are we gonna do? I just had the thought. I imagine because I imagine Khalid and Brood like talking to her. Have you heard the voice of Kratos in the new God of War games?
I don't know if I
I
have.
If not, I'll play it for you later because it's a super deep, resonant, like super rich voice, and that's what I imagine Brood sounds like.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. No, I just imagine this whole interaction. Brood's just like, don't worry about it. Like, I don't care. Malazans, they're gonna do their own thing. I trust them enough. We're all gonna get there in the end. I think it's interesting though, the amount of times that people are like, where's Moonspawn? And no one knows where it is.
Yeah, the
And
seer's
so
like,
I'm
we have
like,
no idea where it is. Crone can't find it. The Black Moranth can't find it.
nope. So I'm like, where where is this at? Like, because someone mentioned it was in a warren maybe, or just things like that. And I'm like, it's hovering somewhere.
Yep, Ruffo.
I know. We'll get to it, guys. Don't worry, Crone. They will be back.
Crone.
She has such a,
There are 7 books left.
I know. She has a bit of a bird brain, so can't fault her too much.
And she was born out of the maggots of the crippled god's flesh. So
Yeah,
she may not be fully right in the head.
probably not.
I don't have anything else about that scene.
I don't either.
I don't have too much to say about the scene before they ride to the carriage. Gruntle and Kovian ride to the necromancer's carriage, and
Yep.
Emancipor Reese has broken a tooth on an olive pit. And when Kovian brings it up, Beauchelain is like, "Why do you keep eating fruit that you think is poisonous?" I wonder what Reese could be trying to do. It's the third time he's broken a tooth like that.
Yeah, I don't know. He's like, I thought it was just a new fashion.
Yeah, the bandage vertically wrapping his head.
He didn't seem too happy when Kovian pointed it out.
No. Beauchelain also like, I should warn you, I'm in a bad mood, and if you do anything, my temper could go off.
And I feel like Gruntle's like, and what
Yeah.
of it?
I'm like, what are you, Busheling? Discount dollar store Icarium?
Something like that. What he
Uh,
thinks.
yeah. And Gruntle wanted to ask about Buke, and Reese is like, oh, he flew away. And Gruntle's like, oh, okay,
You find
that's
him.
that's good.
You find him. Tell him he's fired.
I'll do that.
Gladly, gladly I will. Yeah.
Yeah, just the
I don't
comedic
have.
scene.
Not much there.
And then we've got Cole and Murillo. Cole quotes the nursery rhyme that's at the beginning of the chapter.
It is. Is that the glass one? The sand one?
Oh yeah, the ant dancing blind as blind ants do on the lip of the rim and the rim of the lip. I think he quotes something from that. The ant dance blind, so maybe not exactly the same thing, but
Close enough.
so the children's poems that are designed to terrify them that have then become sing-song chants as children play. It reminds me of oh, I just lost the name of it.
Which one?
Ashes,
You remember?
ashes, we all fall down.
Yeah, the rosy one, Rosy Posy.
Oh yeah, Ring Around the Rosie, which is a poem about the bubonic plague in Europe. And now it's a
I
now it's a thing that children sing.
I remember learning that like when I was in I think maybe seventh grade because we had read a paper on the bubonic plague and kind of freaked me out the plague. But I remember learning about it then I think and I was like, "You're telling me we just sing about the plague like
Oh yeah,
so
all the
lightheartedly?"
time. I mean, there's a
I was
ton of
like,
examples like that. Like, have you heard the song "Pumped Up Kicks" by Foster the People?
"Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's
ton."
about a school shooting.
That's about a school shooting.
Yeah,
I don't know if I've ever listened. Like I've noticed some interesting lyrics, but I don't know if I've ever noticed that. But
yep. There's a ton of examples of songs like that,
it's
not just
crazy.
children's rhymes. And Cole is like, "Yeah, I think that guy was stoned in the streets of Darujistan, but he lived. I think.
I think he lived on in song.
I think." Um, yeah, and then Cole is like, "I wonder if Simtal actually had that child. She lied to me a lot, so maybe not." And then he asks Murillo, and Murillo is like, "Well, Rallick wasn't sure."
Well, what kind of assassin was he?
Rallick wasn't sure. Well, have you seen women when they get pregnant? Their bellies swell, their boobs get bigger. Like he's got to have seen a pregnant woman before. Did he not know?
Yeah, yeah, because what else did he say about that? He's like, he must have been like a really bad assassin then if he can't notice that. What do you think? Swallow melons or something?
Yep. Murillo was very blunt here. Like you were you
Super blunt.
were you were far from being sober
Yeah,
or from being over your addiction rather.
yeah, like you're not in a good state of mind still.
Do you think I could raise a kid? I know you can't raise a kid. Yeah, you're right.
How would I get a friend like you? I don't want to make things
I
worse.
don't want to tell you about it. No thanks. Another time. And
Yeah,
then what did you think when the knight is like, okay, preparations are complete. I've carved a sarcophagus into the floor.
I was like, there has to be some ritual. Like, this is not, we're just gonna bury her. That's my thought at least. But I was like, that's
Okay.
odd. But I mean, I was like, when I saw that, I was like, of course. Like, what were they thinking? This is death. Of
Yeah,
course, it's
they're
gonna
in
be
the Temple
associated
of
with
Death.
death. Yeah.
And Cole thinks, man, I can feel the power still swirling around in here. I guess it's hard to desecrate a temple that's dedicated to death.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, he's like, do you think Hood was grateful that his priests were slaughtered in the temple?
Maybe. I feel like the only way to desecrate a temple like that would to be like give birth there or something.
Yeah, or revive
Like
someone
bring
from the
life
dead.
into, yeah.
Yeah, and then the Maib, once again, not having a good time. Her dream world has disintegrated, and
Yeah, some very ominous, vague details that just leave us hanging.
yep,
But that's all he wrote for those two chapters.
yep,
I mean, I have nothing left, but
I don't either. Um, we will be back next week with chapters 23 and 24,
yep.
and then chapter 25 is very long, so our last episode will be 25 and the epilogue.
Whoa, exciting.
Yep, and then after that, I think we've decided we're going to do the first novella of Beauchamp and Corbel Brooch. just like a one-off episode, and then we'll get into
Yeah.
House of Chains.
Yeah. Means I need to get House of Chains within the next month or so.
Oh yeah, you should
Cause
probably get the rest of the series.
yeah, I mean I've slowly been buying like book or two at a time. Cause like I bought book one, then I ordered I think two and three about the same time. So I'll probably order like four, five, and six maybe. We'll see.
Okay,
But yeah.
cool.
No, I was thinking about that when you mentioned like we got two episodes left. I was like, oh, probably should get that book then.
Probably.
It's kind of critical.
Well, I could
Yeah,
just read it and then give you my copy, and then you could read it.
it would be so slow. Because you'd read it and then I would get it a couple days later at work. And then by the time we record, you'd be like, well, I'm going off my summary here. So
Yeah, and then only one of us would have the book to
I
look
don't
at.
know. So probably a good idea if I get a copy.
One thing I was thinking of, we haven't done any polls on our episodes, but I'm trying to think of a funny question. If you've listened this far and haven't skipped our super long outro, tell us if you would rather sit in a room for an hour with Krupp or Iskaral Pust by yourself, or just let them ramble at you for an hour.
I pick Krupp.
Yeah, I pick Krupp too.
I feel like a Scarl Plus would be a little weird. I mean, they both would, but
But Krupp at least has some quality things to say occasionally.
yeah.
And
Well,
I think that's it. So how
yeah.
was that, Todd?